All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. We all set, Joan? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes to the last meeting? Massical, second by Evelyn Wood. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. All right, I'd like to introduce the County Administrator, Paul Dusek, who has would like to speak on the subject of the videotaping of the meetings. Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to update everybody. The videoing of these meetings continues to be a work in progress, and I am getting feedback. And so as fast as I get feedback, I also want to get the word out to everybody as to what the feedback is and also some suggestions. One feedback we've already gotten is the sound quality of the video varies, and the problem is it varies because if people speak directly into the microphone, it works very well, but if folks are sitting, for instance, over in the, I'll call it the gallery, is that would be appropriate, you will not be heard as well, or perhaps you will not be heard at all if your voice is low. One of the reasons we put the podium at the end is so that folks sitting in the gallery, if you would desire to make a statement or address the committee, you know, that is on or should be on, and then it would be heard on the video. The other choice would be for a supervisor, if you would like, if you're going to make a statement, just take a seat at the table so at least your voice would be picked up. The other aspect is for those supervisors who will lean back in their chairs during the course of the meeting, as you pull away from the mic that are on the table, it gets harder to hear you. What we will be doing on that, and I realize that, you know, we can't ask you to sit like this all the time. Mike is working on having some mics put from the ceilings that will pick up the sound quality from perhaps the gallery, as well as when supervisors are a little bit further away from the mic. So we are working on that. There's a couple other things we're working on, but that was probably the biggest thing I wanted to update you on, because I know that sometimes supervisors will want to make comments from the gallery, and I just want you to know that unless you go up to the mic or, like I say, sit at the table, you may not be picked up on the video. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Paul. I just asked the committee to just relax and let's go about our business. If we can address those concerns, though, and speak clearly into the mic, that would be great. Thank you. All right, Maureen's going to kick it off with some announcements. Maureen.
Good morning. This morning I would like to introduce you to our two new attorneys. And our first attorney, who is our supervising attorney, is Cynthia Schrock-Seeley. And thank you for standing, Cynthia. We have a small bio for both of them in the packet for you. And Sarah Mary is our assistant PS attorney. And they hit the ground running, really, with so many different things we're doing. So thank you very much for coming.
Would both attorneys mind kind of stepping out a little bit, because I know the camera will not pick you up where you are. the camera is right that way. Thank you.
Well, thank you both for being here today.
I would like to thank both of them for coming to this committee meeting today. Thank you so much.
Matt, I think the wrong end of you is sticking in the wrong direction.
Thanks for all of it. Thumbs up.
Well, thank you both for taking time out of your busy days to come here. We greatly appreciate the work you do, and again, thank you so much. All right, Maureen, some action items.
Action items. A is personnel request. Notice of intent to fill the vacant position of intake clerk number 6 in reception due to the resignation of Paul Putney, grade 4, step 0, salary $25,851, and to backfill any vacancies created by that resignation effective August 22nd, 2014.
Yeah, I would just run through them all.
Okay. Notice of intent to fill a vacant position of keyboard specialist 2 in reception due to the promotion of Caitlin St. John, grade 3, step 0, salary $24,699, and to backfill any vacancies created by the promotion effective September 15, 2014. Number 3, notice of intent to fill the vacant position of investigator number 2 in the fraud unit due to the resignation of Sharon Walters, grade 11, step 8, salary $39,355, and to backfill any vacancies created by the resignation effective October 1st, 2014. And the last thing is a request to amend the table of organization. For social welfare examiner, we're changing SWE 24 from Department 05 to 06, change SWE number 6 from Department 00 to 06, and change SWE 21 from Department 06 to 05, change SWE 41 from Department 06 to 00. Intake clerk number 1 from Department 03 to 00, and change intake clerk number 6 from Department 00 to 03.
Okay, do I have a motion to bring all 4 of these, together in one resolution? Ron, seconded by Matt. Any discussion, any questions? Mr. Stroh?
Yeah, Maureen, would you explain, why we're changing social welfare examiner from Department 5 and 6 and so forth? Why do we do that, or?
The reason why we're moving them from, one place to the other is some of our new, we're filling positions right now, and, for SWEs, and the newer people would come in, and they could bump, if we have to bump in the future, they would bump people that have already been here for a year. So we figured that, in all fairness, they're the same kind of positions, we're just putting them in order as people are coming into the
Is it a
department.
civil service arrangement?
Yes.
It's not a physical thing?
No,
Department
it's
here,
a
department.
civil
It's a
service, we're
service,
not,
okay.
it doesn't affect budget, and it doesn't affect the people, it's just switching the numbers.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, John, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes. All right, Maureen, any other business?
We can either go to Dee or Julie.
Okay, Dee, why don't you, go ahead?
Okay. Our first item is permission to renew the contract with Hudson Headwaters for clinician services. For the first year, the total amount would be $13,262.42. And for the second year, it would be $13,724.52. This is a 3.5% increase for each year.
Do you have, handouts for the committee members on that?
The actual increase amount?
It's this one right here?
Yep.
Okay. All right, everybody got this? All right, is there a motion to bring that to the floor? Ron, seconded by Edna. Any discussion, any questions? Dee, Evelyn?
Being 3.5 each year and we're under 2% in theory, do you foresee that as being a problem in coming years, or do you think that you can handle it within the budget, or?
Typically, this is the amount that they increase it, each year. Some years we have been fortunate to have a 0 increase, but then the next year it goes to 5%, so this is about the average.
About the average, all right.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Number 2?
The second item is permission to fill the position of institutional aide number 3, 32 hours a week due to resignation for, she went out on maternity leave and has decided to stay home with her children.
Okay, anyone? Matt Simpson, Matt Sokol. Any discussion or questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it carries. All right, is that it, Dee?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Julie, you have some reports to review?
Okay, the first one is the overtime report, and you're gonna notice, for the last 2 pay periods, kind of high. And the good side of that is we had 5 caseworkers finishing up their casework training. We had 5 of them that all had 11 hours of overtime to do CPS response training. And the good news is all of our caseworkers are up and running now. So we'll see, almost no overtime for training for that. We still are kinda high in food stamps due to the 4 vacancies, and the last 2 have been hired, and the last start date will be October 6th. We may find a little more overtime in food stamps until they get up and running though.
Julie, you'd expect that to go down dramatically?
Absolutely.
Mhm. One question, how are you year-to-date in terms of what you had budgeted for the year? Are we on target, a little behind, a little ahead?
We're on target, and that's with moving forward, planning on it being less.
Okay, all right.
So, you know,
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on
that's our
that.
goal.
All right, gotcha. Any, questions or comments for Julie? Okay, that's the overtime. Next.
And then we have the revenue and expenditure for August. It's pretty straightforward. Again, we're pretty well on target. Our expenses were a little high in August. We had some contracts that, we were waiting on, so we doubled up on a few payments that we had to have the contracts for. So hopefully in turn that will show a large increase in revenue next month, because we did the claiming the following month.
Okay, so no surprises or concerns at this
No.
point, we're on track, okay.
And then the only other thing I had was, at the last committee, there was a question regarding our intent to fill and the potential cost savings that we use. The formula we use is that we take the current salary and we put in entry-level salary, and the difference is the potential cost savings. However, we always have backfills and that kind of thing. We have days that no one is in the position. So to get a true cost savings, after everybody's moved and all the positions are filled relating to the one position that was vacated, you can do this cost analysis. And I did do it on the fraud investigator, just to show, because what happened was, when the fraud investigator left, someone took a lateral move, and her salary actually was more than the person who left. And since we had put $8,900 as a potential cost savings, at face value, it looked like we actually were spending more money. So I wanted to do an analysis showing all the movement that one position created, which was the fraud investigator, and then a support investigator, and then finally a SWE that got ultimately hired at entry level. And this sheet shows how much we saved either with vacant days and then the entry level person. And if you look at the total cost savings, it ended up being almost double of what we anticipated. I mean, we wouldn't know that ahead of time. We could never, try to put that into the intent to fill. But this way it at least shows you that there's almost always a cost savings. If nothing else, empty days save money.
That's great, thank you. Rachel, you had a question?
I don't know what sheet you're referring to, but when you... All right, I deserve it.
State your name.
Okay, in full transparency, I understand some of you are a little uncomfortable with this YouTube process, so I will take the beatings as they're afforded. But my question, and maybe I could see a copy of the sheet you're referring to, because I'm not sure what you're talking about. But I know you're referring to the fraud position that we talked about last meeting.
Yes.
And I'm a little unclear. You just said ultimately filled by an entry-level position, but it was my understanding that the investigator that left was backfilled by someone who had a significant amount of longevity and was not an entry-level position.
Right.
But when you
What
just,
happened was that opened up a position in the support unit, and again, we had Heidi Knickerbocker fill that. She was a SWE, and she filled the support position vacated by Barb Mead when she went to fraud. So ultimately, there was an entry-level social welfare examiner.
okay, so I think that perhaps this has gotten more complicated than our intent, which was simply someone leaves at whatever salary and someone gets filled at whatever salary. And, you know, I brought this up months ago only because it looked like a potential $8,900 savings when in fact we backfilled a position with an employee with longevity. So we didn't have that cost savings that we thought. In fact, just comparing salaries, it was an additional $1,200 or something dollars, you know, comparatively. So I understand you're looking at an all-inclusive picture here, and you know, it seems a little complicated putting in more than one position. And I think that in the overall picture, you're absolutely right. That my criticism isn't that we are spending all of this money and it's unwarranted. Sometimes we need to spend more money to get qualified candidates, and you know, it's very well worth it, especially not to have the training cost. But the cost savings was just, we were talking about it as it relates to one position, comparing who came in and who left, or who left and who took that position. So that was the discussion from last meeting, just looking at that one specific position.
That's right.
That make sense?
Yeah, it does, and we really appreciate you bringing that to our attention, because it did actually cost me, when, Lisa was replaced by Barb.
Right, but, and I understand what you're
So
saying. I think this all-inclusive is great.
$656 net,
Mhm.
and we wouldn't have necessarily identified that without your inquiry, so I appreciate it. What Julie's saying is, with Barb exiting to the investigator position, and Heidi taking that place, that actually saved $5,200. So the net result of those two actions was
Okay.
a savings of about $4,600 to the county.
Okay. Well, and I apologize, I didn't have this sheet, so I wasn't sure what you guys were talking about when you said an entry level. I just knew we didn't
Yeah.
replace, that fraud investigator with an entry level position. But you know, the intent isn't to have somebody do a whole lot of work and spend a lot of time figuring out the, you know, trickle down domino effect from each person leaving. Just simply, they left at and they were filled at, and this is either our cost saving or our cost, you know, the negative cost that it's gonna incur in order to have that position filled. But I would imagine it would take up a lot of time to look at this all-inclusively every single time, either by HR or by our social services division.
I think what we'll do is we'll just keep an eye on it from time to time and make sure the net is less than what we budget. If it's more, then we obviously have to budget for that and account for it. So I appreciate you bringing it to the committee's attention. Julie, nice work. In this case, it's worked out real positive for the county. Thank you. Any other comments about this report? All right, hearing none. We do need to go into executive session for the matter pertaining to the Social Services Commissioner search. So do I have a motion, Matt? Second by John Strow. Any questions, comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. We're in executive session. All right, there was no action taken in executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn? Evelyn, John, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Okay.
Hmm?
You put some time in.
Oh.
Well,
Evelyn?
well, clearly. Yes, thank you.